Welcome to the President and CEO podcast series, where every 2 weeks, President and CEO founder Paul Stukel discusses middle market issues with business leaders from across the nation. In this edition, we speak with Ken Beck, founder and CEO of CEO Connections, the premier peer-to-peer networking organization devoted exclusively to middle market CEOs.
When I first got to Wharton, there was an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer that said Penn was the #1 employer in Philadelphia with 16,000 employees. And I thought this was odd. So I sent a letter, because back then it was letters, it wasn't email, right? I sent a letter to Sheldon Hackney, who was the president of Penn at the time. And I said, dear Sheldon, it's come to my attention that there exists at the University of Pennsylvania a one-to-one correspondence between the number of students and the number of employees. Now, I could only assume from this that each student is entitled to a worker. Since I'm new here, it's time for me to choose mine, and I choose you. Let's get together and discuss our new relationship. And that's how I met Sheldon Hackney. And the interesting thing was, back then there was not an issue of security. I mean, he sent his assistant to make sure I wasn't crazy. But, then we sat down, had lunch, and we got to know each other a little bit. And so when I had this idea to start a student credit union, I went to Sheldon. I didn't go to the student life people. I went to Sheldon. I said, Sheldon, I'm going to start this student credit union with or without your help. If I succeed, the University of Pennsylvania will have the leader of the student credit union movement, a phenomenal hands-on teaching tool for the students, the only student credit union in the Ivy League, and great banking service for the students. If I fail, you'll have a black eye, and I'll graduate. and he laughed, he said, I see your point, and he immediately committed to depositing $100,000 of the university money in the student credit union at 0 interest. And then he introduced me to all the senior Penn people. So I had kind of a unique experience as a Wharton MBA in that I was intimately involved with the undergraduate university. That same team, or part of that team for the credit union, started, it's interesting, we had a number of different business ideas coming out of Wharton. The computerized job listing service for college students. And this was, again, figure 88, 89, around there. We raised $500,000 from friends and family. We designed the software. We sent computers, leading-edge computers. These are the real leading-edge computers to 120 college campuses around the country. Companies were paying us to list jobs, but there's no internet. The internet wasn't commercial. I mean, there was an internet, but it wasn't commercialized. Yeah. Al Gore hadn't invented it yet. Right? Yeah. So we wound up. The technology at the time was we were sending floppy disks. We mailed out 120 floppy disks each week that would update each computer on campus. Companies were paying us to list jobs. Students were finding jobs, and we were in great shape. And then that recession hit, and companies stopped paying us. And we were starving. I mean, there was nothing we could do. If we had known when the internet was going to be commercialized, we would have figured out how to hold on for that. It was really only a couple of years later. I mean, this was about 91 when we were, when that recession hit, and really it was 94, 95 when all the money started being thrown in all these .com companies. Wound up then taking over this office furniture company, which was a turnaround situation. Built it, turned it around, built it up, actually 2 or 3 different times, and started acquiring other dealers up and down the East Coast. Acquired one in Manhattan. And I said, I should get involved in the Wharton Club. It's my competitive advantage. So I called. I said, hey, guys, I'd like to get involved. And they said, great. How'd you like to be on the board? Right?
It's a recurring theme here.
Yeah, okay, right? So I said, all right. Okay, sure. Why not? So I went to this board meeting. I found 12 really committed volunteers, and they ran 3 events a year. And I said, guys, this is not going to help me sell office furniture. They said, okay, Kenny, do what you want, which is always a dangerous thing to say to me. You give me a title and do what I want, and So I started the first Wharton Club of New York Leads Council, which are non-competitive groups of Wharton alumni that get together twice a month and exchange business leads, and held the meetings in my showroom, my new showroom in Manhattan. And within 9 months, I had $1.5 million worth of sales from it. And I said, there's something here. I need to get more involved. And so I wound up getting more and more involved, wound up becoming president, and we built this organization now into really an effective community. So CEO Connection, the idea was originally, it was going to be a committee of the Wharton Club. And it was originally going to be just another one of these things that we did for Wharton alumni, connecting senior alumni with their peers. And somewhere along the line, I met my partner, George Bratt. In fact, I met him at a Leads Council. It was 10-something years ago. And you know, in the Leads Council, you go around the room, everybody introduces themselves, say what you do and what's a good lead. So George would get up and he'd say, well, my firm is Prime Genesis, and we help alumni, we onboard executives. And you know, you kind of half listen to these things sometimes. And the first five times I met George, I thought he worked for Carnival Cruise. I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. You know, onboarding. And then when he explained, you know, he helps senior executives get better results faster because he works with them as they get into their company. I said, oh, what do you think of this idea, peer group for Wharton alumni? And he loved it. And we started talking about it, and we started investigating it. And here's what we found. We found senior executives want to be with their peers. We found that 40% of new CEOs fail in the first 18 months, and their biggest complaint is lonely at the top. They have nobody to talk to. And we found that there are a myriad of these organizations out there for small businesses. And there are a couple for the really large corporations. There was nothing targeted at the senior leadership of mid-level companies. And so we looked at each other and said, you know what? This is not a Wharton idea. This is a true venture. I had just sold my office furniture company and was trying to figure out what to do next, and this was it. And so we launched it in 2005. It's all based on 3 principles. It's enlightened self-interest. You know, you have to give to get. There's nothing wrong with getting something out of the organization, but you have to give something back. And generally, the more you give back, the more you get out. I mean, it's no different than, you know, some people call it doing good while doing well. You know, this whole social impact thing. Generally speaking, it's a good way to live. Second principle is tangible value, tangible benefits, tangible return. This idea that you have to get something out of the organization, but networking and events are a means to an end. They're not an end unto themselves. And for too long, you know, people always talk about, I'm going to network, and that, you know, and they go to all these organizations, all these events, and they get business cards, and they go home and they take these business cards and they do nothing with them. That's, you know, that's the connotation of networking. That's not the purpose of it. You know, it's supposed to be about connectivity. It's supposed to be about building relationships so that when you actually do need something, you can tap into your network and they'll help you because they want to. So tangible results is principle number 2. And then principle number 3 is small interactive events are more valuable than large passive events. And so that's why we went from those 3 major events to 200 to 300 events, meetings, and activities a year. The idea was rather have 15 people in a room getting some value than 150 people in the room getting, you know, listening to somebody talk. Vistage is focused on small businesses, and this is the next level up. We've been called YPO on steroids. You know, I mean, but the idea is, number 1, it's focused on the CEOs who are running companies of similar sizes. Number 2, a lot of the things we do are designed with those CEOs in mind. So let me give you an example. Vistage, you have a meeting, and I hate to just focus on Vistage because, like I said, there are an enormous number of these out there. They happen to be the largest for the small market, and they're a great organization. But you know, you have a monthly meeting. You have a group of CEOs, and you have a monthly meeting at their offices, and you go in depth, and it's a full day, and that's great. But the CEOs of this size company don't have the time to commit for a monthly meeting. So we've had to design things to fit their time and the time they have available. Created this infrastructure that allows them to have access to people, information, and resources, regardless of the amount of time they have available to commit and through the medium with which they're most comfortable. So we have an array of in-person opportunities, and we have our CEO boot camps, and we have our CEO forums and dinners and lunches, and all opportunities, all small, you know, all designed for maximum interactivity. Remember what I said before with the Wharton Club, same thing. Small interactive is better than big passive. And so the dinners, we kind of cap it at 40 or so. You know, it ranges from about 20 to 40. The boot camps, maximum of 12. The forums, we allow a larger number, but then we break them into smaller groups of 10 to 12. The lunches, interestingly enough, these are informal things that I host at the Penn Club once a month. And it's designed to be anywhere from 1 to 5 CEOs and me. So some days I'm meeting by myself, actually, you know, but it's designed to be informal opportunities to connect. And then we have all these different special events as they. I will tell you the one other component of this that is key and kind of differentiates us from the smaller organization, from the organization targeted to the smaller CEOs, is personal individualized attention. And the idea there is we've created this, what we call PCC program, Personal CEO Connector. And each CEO gets assigned a PCC whose responsibility it is to leverage the organization on behalf of the CEO. And the reason for that is, as we said, their second biggest complaint after is lonely at the top is they don't have any time. So this person, and look, you know, when you join a membership organization, generally speaking, it's passive. They give you a list of benefits and services, and then it's up to you to figure out how to use it. Well, you don't have time to figure out how to use it. You're too busy running your company. So we have somebody whose responsibility it is who knows how to use it and use it on your behalf. So they'll reach out to the CEO 3 or 4 times a year and talk, not give them something to do, but figure out what they need to be connected, and then actually make the connection, so that all the CEO has to do is pick up the phone. We are the only organization that is focused on the CEO of the mid-market companies, and it's important. You know, it's important that this view be heard. You have, just in the United States alone, these companies account for $3.84 trillion in the gross domestic product. I mean, forget about what goes on in the rest of the world, and 40 million jobs, and nobody's talking to them, and we are. And that's, I think it's really important for not only for them, but there's strength in numbers, but also for the country and even and the world in terms of how to best help the economy and help people find jobs and just help everybody succeed.
Next up in our series is a discussion with Andy Monshaw, General Manager for IBM's Global Mid-Market. Thanks for watching.